All right, I'm ready.
It's streaming. The streaming is live now.
अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि। कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलम् आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम्। दक्षिणे लक्ष्मणो यस्य वामे च जनकात्मजाः पुरतो मारुतिर्यस्य तं वन्दे रघुनन्दनम्। We are in Sundarakanda, and in Sundarakanda we are in a very Sundara section. And in that Sundara section, we are in a very Ati Sundara situation, where Sri Hanumanji, on the request of Sita Devi, is describing the beauty of Ramachandra. Previously, he described the qualities, and he said Rupa Dakshinya Sampannaha. So he talked about Dakshinya though, and now he's talking about Rupa Sampanna. Now the next set of verses that we'll hear are all about the form of Sri Ramachandra. I'm going to say but, it's all in coded way. And so the description is beautiful. I'm concerned the analysis from me may not be as beautiful. So please bear with me, because hard one, I don't know the form of the Lord, but we're going through different references to get an appreciation. So it will set the mood by this verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is in the 4th canto. This is Narada Muni, who is about to give Dhruva the mantra Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. But the proper meditation on a mantra has to have the object of the mantra, Vasudevaya, unto Vasudeva, the Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality. Om, I am bringing my body, mind, and words in focus of that personality who is the Omkara, who appears as Vasudeva. And so Narada Muni is telling Dhruva Maharaja, Evam Bhagavato Rupam Subhadram Dhyayato Manaha Nivritya Paraya Turnam Sampannam Na Nivartate. So the English translation Prabhupada gives is, one who meditates in this way, concentrating his mind upon the always auspicious form of the Lord, is very soon freed from all material contamination, and he does not come down from meditation upon the Lord. This is the means of sadhana, which we're all part of sadhakas, practitioners, to bring the practitioner to the state of samadhi. And part of coming to that samadhi, he says, is evam bhagavato rupam subhadram dhyayato. One who in this way meditates on the all auspicious form of the Lord. And how does one meditate on manaha, dhyayato manaha? It does something. It brings a person to a stage of samadhi. So there he says, manaha sampannaha. When the mind is completely endowed with, completely enriched, nourished, and full of the different features of the Supreme Lord, at that time, nivrityah parayah turnam. Very quickly, one is released from, freed from all material contamination. The worst material contamination is, or the root is, the I and mine conception. I am this body, and everything belonging to this body and everything that I survey is mine. It is said that every living being has only two enemies. And these two enemies are the most formidable enemies. One may become rich, one may become famous, one may become so strong that they conquer the entire world if possibly, like Hiranyakashipu or Ravana. But they are not freed from aham, mama, iti, I and mine. But Narada Muni's promise is nivritya paraya turnam, and then manaha na nivartate. The mind does not go back to material things. For it to be sampanna, it has to be fully endowed and enriched by this meditation on the form of the Supreme Lord. I'm going to read the quick short purport of Prabhupada. This fixed meditation is called samadhi or trance. A person constantly engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord cannot be deviated from meditating on the form of the Lord as described herein. The Archana Marga, or the devotional path described in the Pancharatra system of devotional service for worshipping the deity in the temple, makes the devotee think constantly of the Lord. That is samadhi or trance. One who practices in this way cannot deviate from the service of the Lord, and that makes him perfect in the mission of human life. To meditate on the form of the Lord, obviously, cannot be done artificially. But as one is taking darshan of the deity, or through words of Hanumanji in this case, he's going to draw a picture of the Supreme Lord. Of course, one risk is our imagination will draw the picture in a very fudgy, awkward way. And we'd start imagining the form to be different from what the actual form is. But since we are in the sadhana stage, this meditation gives us an idea of the form being so amazing. All the characteristics of a Mahapurusha are described by Hanumanji. And the scripture for reference of such indicators is called Samudrika Shastra. Mudra means indicators or features or symptoms. You know the verse, Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra na bhujye, that a Vaishnava's activities and bodily indications or marks may be very well misread or misunderstood by people who don't understand Vaishnava Tattva. But this Samudrika is by means by which a person's entire, if you will, they call horoscope, can be detected. Because after all, now I'm speaking about conditioned beings, not the Supreme Lord. For the conditioned beings, every body part, the amount of hair the size of our forehead, the shape of our nose, the structure of our teeth, the structure of our shoulders, the chest, spine, arms, fingers, hair on the body, the back, the legs, knees, toes, everything is determined by some previous karma. And so you'll see that some people have a very beautiful face, but not such a well organized body. Some have very good bodies, which anyway will deteriorate, but not good looking. Some people have good eyes, but bad teeth. Some people have good teeth, but bad hair. Some people have something or the other. It's a conglomerate of one's karmic past. But when the Supreme Lord appears in a form that we can all see, that as he appeared, self same form from Vaikuntha, then everyone gets to see what is perfection. Every limb, every pore on his body is so perfect because one, it is not governed by karma, but they indicate the presence of a very, very great, perhaps the absolute person, the Supreme Personality, Sri Ramachandra. Another piece is human beings, in order to enhance their beauty of the body, have to take help from something external: shampoos, soaps, perfumes, jewelry, for the ears, for the face, for the neck, for the arms, for the waist, for the feet, cloth, varieties of decorations, makeup, to make the lips look redder, to make them look thicker, richer. And over time, there is so much, we call it advancement in enhancing the beauty of the body. And all of these are meant to enhance the beauty, as I said. But for Lord Ramachandra, he doesn't need any jewelry. He doesn't need anything. The actual beauty is in his form. And it is this form that Sita Devi is asking Hanumanji to describe. So she is a pure, not only consort, but in the sense of a devotee of the Lord. And Hanumanji is the messenger who also has fully absorbed in his mind, he's in full samadhi of that form. And so these are two great persons who are talking to each other. So there is something codified, but we'll try to decode it a little bit. And in the Samudrika Shastra, all the great indicators of a king, a great personality, supreme personality of Godhead are all indicated. In some cases, it'll say if such a person will be a king, but Ramachandra is the king of all kings, etc. So, with that, put on your seatbelts. My description can be a little rough ride, but the shlokas are very beautiful and they are coded. So let's start. This is verse number 17 that Hanumanji is about to speak about Lord Ramachandra's form. So he starts with Tristhiraha Stripralambascha Trisamas Trishu त्रिताम्रस्त्रिषु च स्निग्धः गंभीरस्त्रिषु नित्यशः. So it's all in sets of three. He says there are three body parts that are firm or stiff. Tri sthiraha, they're fixed, they're firm. Tri pralambascha, and there are three that are elongated. Tri samaha, there are three that are very evenly situated. Trishu cha unnataha, and three that are very high or raised. Tritamraha, Tristamra, there are three that are coppery or reddish in color. Trishu cha snigdaha, there are three that are fleshy or shining. And Gambhiras Trishu, and there are three that are very grave. Nityashaha. So this word Nityashaha, Hanumanji is telling Sita Devi, and Valmiki is explaining to us that in many of us, or in the ordinary conditioned being, these symptoms may be there, but they are not nityashaha. They can either be for a small phase of time, or they can be artificially created, but they are not one's nature. Hmm? For example, tristhiraha. So we'll explain what these three are. The three body parts that are firm or stiff, not stiff in a negative way, but firm or strong, are the chest of Sri Ramachandra, the wrist, and the grip or the fist. And they say that a person who has all these three that are stiff are all the sure shot indicators of a king. I'm skipping the Sanskrit verses from the Shamudrika Shastra. Once in a while, I'll refer to it. But when I say king, don't think like a human being, because he's the Raja Adhi Raja Samastya Sahine, as in the Mantra Pushpa, the Vedic literature. He's the king of all kings. So, so first is the three stiff, we said, the chest, the wrist, and the grip or the fist. Three elongated or hanging are the eyebrows, long hanging eyebrows, long hanging arms, Ajanubahu, and his genitals. Three even parts. There are three samaha. They're very, very well symmetrical and exactly equal on both sides. If you see some people, their hair is weird on one side or doesn't grow uniformly. So here he says the three samaha are his locks of hair, his knees, and his genitals. Very perfectly in symmetry. And then he says, Trishu unnataha. Three are raised. So the elevated or raised parts are his abdomen, his navel, and his chest or the heart area. Three shining. Three shining are the lines of the soles, the hair, and genitals. There are the snigdha, sorry, the three fleshy parts. In everyone's palms and soles, there are sections that are fleshy. Hmm? I think this is called Mount of Venus. So I'm not good at palmistry. There are people on this call who are very good at it. But there are fleshy parts. So those are the three ones. Then his body is coppery, reddish in color. And those are the eyes, the nails, and the palms and soles. Sometimes palms and soles are taken as one unit, but those are the reddish color. You see deities of Lord Ramachandra or Krishna when he's holding a flute, the palms are reddish in color. And then he says, uh, he has a very majestic look, Nityashaha. So these are not circumstantial. Then the next verse he says, three valivams Traya avanataha chaturvyangah त्रिशीर्षवान् चतुष्कलः चतुर्लेखाः चतुष्किक्षुः चतुस्समः. So those are all in threes. Now they're all in sets of four. One word is in three. It says trivalims. Trivalims means he has three lines or three folds. Okay. And these three folds appear in the skin of his neck, the skin of his belly, and on his forehead. Generally, we say if there are lines on a person's forehead that they worry too much. But these lines are Ramachandra's beauty. And each of these lines means something. First of all, they're very attractive to look at. The lines on the neck, we say shaped like and lines of a conch shell. When we sing Damodar Arti, for the little boy Damodara, we say Tri Rekha Anka Kantha. His neck has three lines like the lines in a conch shell. Kambugriva. So these three lines, they indicate a person's ability to have good health and enjoy life. Now, enjoy, don't take it the wrong way. Lord Ramachandra and Krishna are the supreme enjoyers. And the way the lines indicate, apparently, the three is for any human being, depending upon how many lines they have and what kind of lines they have, where they have the lines, it indicates whether they have the ability to relish and digest food, or whether or not they have good or bad sleep. And a third, whether or not they have a good relationship with their partner. So Ramachandra has three lines, means he can digest anything. Don't worry about sleeping. He has yoga nidra. And then Sita Devi, he enjoys and relishes fantastic relationship with her. Apparently, the lines on the forehead indicate a person's longevity, how long they will live, what kind of health they will have, what age part will be healthy or unhealthy, etc. And then lines on the belly or folds of skin on the belly indicate whether or not a person is a enjoyer, a detached person, or they're kind and merciful. And in Ramachandra, or the Supreme Personality, all three exist simultaneously. So there are all these varieties of details that just by looking at a person, it is pretty much a long list of their character. One can very quickly ascertain this through Samudrika Shastra. So that's that part of three valim. Then he says, three avanataha. There are three parts that are concave or depressed. And those are the middle of his soles, his nipples, and the very middle of the sole of his foot, the middle of his palms. So while these are fleshy, this is very nicely depressed. So it forms very beautiful, what we say, structure to his palms and soles. Some people are flat-footed. Some people have flat palms. Some have no lines. Some have many lines. Some have distorted lines. And then he says, Chatuhu Chaturvyangah Trishirshavan. Chaturvyangah means he has four lines at the root of his thumb. And he has four lines also on his forehead. And Chatushkukshihi, Chatushkala, four lines under the thumb, as we read. Chaturlekha, four lines on his forehead. Chatushkukshi, that his size, his height is 4 cubits. Now, we don't know cubits, but they are generally 4 cubits refers to about 96 inches. So we can say Ramachandra is 8 feet in height. Now, for people in Kali Yuga, 8-foot Ramachandra, can you imagine standing in front of you? But during Treta Yuga, their hand sizes are different, so their measures are accordingly. So for them, their Ramachandra's height is very, very tall. If you ever stand in front of Tirupati Balaji, for example, massive deity, and they say that that is almost the size of the height of the Lord, at least 8 foot. You go to Mayapur and you see a 9-foot tall Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You go to Uppaliyappan temple in Kumbakonam, and he's standing there almost 9-10 foot tall. I mean, so imposing, so big. Ranganath is lying down and he's so massive. And there are other deities. These are all meant, so imagine Ramachandra 8 foot in height standing in front of you. And not only is he tall, Chatushkukshihi, but Chatushamaha. 4 pairs of in him are all perfectly symmetrical. His arms, his cheeks, his thighs, and knees, they're all in perfect symmetry. Then he says, Chaturdasha sama dvandvaha. He has 14 pairs of limbs that are exactly symmetrical and very well formed. Chaturdamstraha, he has 4 teeth, the sharp canines. Chaturgatihi, he walks like 4 different animals, his walk can indicate. And then he says, Mahoshtha, Maha Ushtaha. Ushta is the upper lip. The lower lip is called Adhara, upper lip is called Oshtha. Mahoshta Hanuhu Nashascha. So he has a very, very great looking upper lip, jaw, well chiseled, formed jaw, and nose. And Panchasnigdaha, and 5 that are very fleshy and shiny. And Ashtavamshan, and there are 8 parts that are just well, beautifully formed. So the going back to the beginning of the verse, Chaturdasha Samadvandaha, 14 pairs that are very well formed and symmetrical. These are eyebrows. So that's 2. Nostrils, ears, eyes, lips, nipples, elbows, wrists, knees, uh, his genitals, his thighs or loins, arms, legs, and buttocks. Everything is perfectly formed and in perfect symmetry and in good proportion. Chaturdamstra means the lines of his teeth are so perfectly symmetrical, and he has exactly well-shaped, equal-sized canine teeth on both upper jaw and lower jaw. 4 of they're called dumpsters. Now they're not like how a tiger has, but every person's mouth has sharp canines, and part of handsomeness or beauty is that they are well formed and they're equal in size and symmetrical. Chaturgatihi, this we heard way back in Balakanda also. Gajasimha gati viro shardula vrishabhopamau. Upamau means just like. Gatihi, his walking is like gati simha, like a lion, like an elephant, like a tiger, and like a bull. And when we discussed Balakanda, we went through what each of these style of walking indicates about his personality. Panchasnigdaha. There are these things that are 5 that are very smooth or shiny, and that is hair, eyes, his skin, his teeth, and his feet. And Ashtavamshavan means has 8 parts of his body that are long or formed in a way that are longer. So when we look at a human being, generally we find 3 categories of bodily structures. One, where the torso and the legs are of equal height. The other is where the torso is longer than the legs. And a third is where the torso is shorter and the legs are very long. Ramachandra or Mahapurusha's form is where the torso is longer and the legs in proportion are shorter than the torso. So the 8, the Ashtamsham are the backbone, the trunk, the limbs, fingers, toes, nose, eyes, and genitals. They're all shaped in this way. Then he says, Dasha Padmaha. There are 10 limbs that resemble the lotus. Dasha Bhrita, Tribhir Vyaptaha Dvish, Dvishuklavan. So Dasha Padma, there are 10 that are just like a lotus. So we'll go word by word. Dasha Padma. So there are 10 features of Lord Ramachandra that resemble the lotus. Of course, Tulsidas has said Nava Kanja Lochana, Kanja Mukha, Kanja Kara, Kanja Pada, Arunam, that they are reddish. So here the 10 pairs are the eyes, his face, his mouth, his tongue, his lips, his cheeks, his nipples, nails, feet, and hands. They all resemble lotuses. Dasha Brihat, 10 very well formed and significant proportions of his body. His head, forehead, ears, nice long big ears, his neck, chest, heart, belly, hands, legs, and buttocks. Tribihi, as he says, Tribihi Vyaptaha. There are three that uh, completely cover his entire personality. And these are splendor, fame, and glory. So every part is shining. Each body part is famous because all the Vedas sing about it. And that is his glory. Entire body is filled with these three, Vyaptaha. Actually, when talking of beauty, we generally use the word Sundara or Saundaryam. Now, the Acharyas explain that Saundaryam refers to any particular body part that may be very well formed or very well endowed. So, individual parts, when you take and describe their beauty, it's called Saundaryam or Sundara. Sundaram is the person, Saundarya is beauty. However, there is one word that describes the conglomerate, the totality of all the body parts which are perfect and extremely beautiful, and that is called Lavanyam. The word Lavanya uh, actually refers to that is sourced from salt. Because when you mix salt in food, it is not that one section of the food has salt and the other section does not have. uh, the saltiness is throughout. So this beauty of Ramachandra that is throughout his personality is called Lavanyam. And so these three qualities that we talked about, splendor, fame, and glory, where he says Tribhir Vyaptaha, is like that Lavanyam. It is there in every part of his body. And then he says, Shad Unnataha. He has 6 elevated limbs: nose, shoulders, forehead, chest, and armpits. Navatanuhu. There are 9 that are very fine, as if it's there, but it's not there. Very, very fine. Mustache, nails, knuckles, beard, skin, hair, his acumen, and his perception. Tribihi. And the final thing says, Tribihir Vyapnoti. He engages himself in the day according to the 3 times of the day, the sandhyas. And he does exactly what is meant to be done in each of the sandhyas. For example, in the early part of the day, he takes delight in dharma. In the middle or the afternoon part of the day, he takes delight in ruling and performing his duties. And in the third part of the day, he takes, they say, he enjoys sensual pleasures. Now, as soon as we hear sensual pleasure, every human being is supposed to manage their day this way. The sensual pleasure doesn't mean gross sensual pleasure. It means spending time with family, spending time with friends. Those are the pleasures of it. And in our case, as sadhakas, it means uh, meeting together and discussing katha. However, The morning is for engagement of dharma, which is the morning is the sadhana part. The middle is the duty part, and the evening is the enjoyment part, where we uh, get together and discuss katha and have delight. However, many human beings have all these things mixed. Some people work late into the night, sometimes way into the morning hours. Their sadhana happens at night, in the afternoon, somewhere else. And as far as enjoyment with family, that's hardly there, or it's all in distorted way. But Ramachandra is so thorough that he knows exactly what part of the day is meant for what activity. Then let's see. He says, Satya Dharma Parashriman. Ramachandra is completely established in dharma and truth, righteousness and truth. Shriman, always prosperous. Now, it's not prosperous. One may say, he's living in the forest. He has no wealth. What is he prosperous with? He is prosperous with Satya and Dharma. That will never be taken away by a person from a person. Money can come and go. So-called friends can come and go. But Satya and Dharma are a person's true wealth. And therefore, they are called Shriman. Sangraha Anugrahe Rate. He is both involved in sangraha, in accumulating, and anugraha, in being very charitable and favorably disposed towards others. Desha Kala Vibhagagnya. Desha Kala Vibhagyakya. That he is so thorough in knowing what is the appropriate expression of dharma or satya or anything according to time and place. Actually, wisdom is different from knowledge. There are many persons who have a lot of knowledge, but very little wisdom. Sometimes we equate education with learning, going to school and learning. Some people learn a lot in school, but they have absolutely no education. Second is literacy has to do with words and sentences. Education has to do with character. And a wise person is one who knows what is the right place and the right circumstance to do or to say certain things, or to not do and not say certain things. And that wisdom is not something that is got from books. Wisdom is got from association with saintly persons, with wise people. Sangat sanjayate kamaha. So Ramachandra is Desha Kala Vibhagagya and Sarva Loka Priyam Vadaha. Everybody in the world speaks nicely about Ramachandra. Another meaning is that Ramachandra speaks nicely to everybody in the world. Sarva Loka Priyam Vadaha. And then, after this description of all the body parts of Ramachandra, Hanuman says, Lakshmana is exactly like this. Bharata tasya cha Dvai Maturas Sumitrair Aparajitah. Dvai Maturah. They are brothers who are born from two different mothers. But Aparajitah, Lakshmana can never be defeated. Anuragena Rupena Gunaischa Tatha Vidaha. In these three characters, they are exactly the same. Tatha Vidaha. One matches the other. In Anuragena, in being charming or in being compassionate. Rupena, their form is exact copy of each other. Guneshcheva, their qualities are also exact one-to-one match. Just as Ramachandra is, Lakshmana is. The only difference is Lakshmana considers himself a complete servant of Lord Ramachandra. And you will never see Lakshmana, who's exact replica of Lord Ramachandra, ever competing with Ramachandra. In fact, even in the description to Sita Devi, Hanumanji never makes them sound as if they're competing. He only describes Ramachandra and he says Lakshmana is exactly like him. They're a match. Tvav Ubhav Narashardulau. Tvav Ubhav, both of them side by side. Narashardulo. They are like tiger among men. Tvad darshana samutsukau. And they are very eager to see you, Mother Sita. Vichinvatau, as they are searching Mahin all over the earth, Kritsnam Asmabhir Abhisangatau, as they are searching all over the earth looking for you, they made friendship or contact with us. Us is the Vanaras. And then from here, Hanumanji narrates how Hanuman met Ramachandra and Lakshmana, carried them on his shoulders up to Rishimukha mountain, introduced them to Sugriva and Sugriva to Rama and Lakshmana. They made a pact or a friendship that they will help each other regain their respective wives and kingdom. And Ramachandra helped Sugriva. Sugriva then first killed Vali and made Sugriva meet and be with his wife Ruma, and gave Sugriva the entire Kishkindha kingdom, crowned him the king. And then Sugriva sent armies searching all over. These set of people in the south, Hanuman included, came up to the edge of the ocean from the words of Sampati, who came out of providence to help them. And Sampati's words told that Sita Devi is in Lanka, and Hanumanji jumped 100 yojanas, came into Lanka, searched for her, and finally met her. This is how the friendship between the Vanaras and Rama and Lakshmana happened. And now I am here, Mother Sita, I am here talking to you to let you know that I am indeed Ramachandra's messenger for you. That ends chapter 35. Any questions, thoughts, comments? I will send you these verses because as I'm reading in Sanskrit, it's hard to follow. I understand. So if you're lost, it's not your fault. It's completely my fault. But I'll send you the verses so you can follow along. And if you want to hear again, then all the pairs of and the sets of threes and fours are described. So let's see. Any questions, comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. This is Pritalakshan Das. First off, I want to wish you advance birthday wishes for tomorrow.
What?
I want to wish you advance birthday wishes for
Oh,
tomorrow.
thank you.
And second off, I have this great appreciation for all the verses that you read today. In such detail, they're describing Lord Hanuman is describing Lord Ramachandra's bodily features. I've never heard this before. Most of the analogies that I heard was lotus-eyed or like beautiful, but this is going into such great detail. His every intimate body part is being described. So that shows how close um Lord Hanuman was in serving Lord Ramachandra, and also how perceptible he was when
And he's in
noticing.
Samadhi. He's in
Yes.
Samadhi.
I mean, I see the deity in the temple, but I never notice how beautiful and even the eyes are or the eyebrows are. I mean, I just generally get overwhelmed by the beauty of the Lord, but not to such great detail that I get to notice the fine details. Thank you.
Hanuman's teaching us. And as Narada Muni said to Dhruva, we heard beginning, Evam Bhagavato Rupam Subhadram Dhyayato Manaha Nivritya Paraya Turnam Sampannam Na Nivartate. We hope that our mind is completely infused with the form of the Supreme Lord. Someday, by their mercy, maybe. Hanumanji's mercy, maybe. We started Sundarakanda last December 17. Today is December 16. 1 year later, we have completed 35 chapters. and so much more to go. Anything else?
Hare Krishna,
Hare-
Prabhu. Sri Sachitata Das.
Yes.
Dandavat Pranams. Prabhu Shishra Prabhupada. Prabhu, the point which you make about wisdom and wisdom that comes from association and it cannot be accomplished through academics, that was very striking. And you also brought the point how association, how to identify in association that this is wisdom and how to tap on that. It, in mundane sense, I associate even with saintly persons, but their act on time, place, and circumstances, it's very trivial. But how to leverage that, and understand the thought process behind this and use in our practical senses, applications.
In one, thank you. In one sense, these are all to be cultivated, or they get cultivated in the periods of or in the phases of smaranam. We talked last week that we hear from elevated association, pure devotees. We hear from them. We're hearing from Valmiki, we're hearing from Hanumanji, our own spiritual masters. And while we're hearing that, that's the active place where certain things stick to us. And what sticks depends on what we are looking for. What we're not looking for doesn't stick. Have you ever had that experience? You heard a class some years ago, you hear the same class some years later or some time later, and you said, wow, these points were in this class. I didn't even remember.
Right.
Because this time I'm looking for something and it sticks. Previously, I may not be looking for it. So it sticks conditionally on the because we only pick up what we're looking for. And so after the exchange of, their speaking and our hearing is done, we are meant to take and churn the whole topic. Remember last week we talked on the example of the cow, that the real digestion happens when the cow ruminates or chews on the cud. It's not when it is grazing, it is when it is ruminating. And this rumination is a deliberate exercise. In this context, how Krishna spoke to Arjuna. Krishna spoke in that way. This circumstance, how did he behave? How did he speak? How did he move? What did he say? What did he not say? Etc. They're all indicators of the great personalities' behavior and speech. We look at our acharyas, we look at Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, this acharya, that. We have so much to take from, but that taking is in the rumination of it. Lord Ramachandra standing in one place, he says, speak certain things. He doesn't speak certain words. Just yesterday, I was sharing at home that there is this very, very beautiful scenario in Aranyakanda. Sorry for digressing a little bit. Not Hanuman, Lakshmanji is narrating the beauty of Hemanta Ritu, that the winter is over and it's the next part. Of course, we say winter, but it is Hemanta. When Hema Anta, where the snow starts to melt. It's not yet spring, but it's between winter and spring, January, February time. Everything is cold. It's full, everything is frosted. And Lakshman is describing to Ramachandra that the elephants who have walked to the streams of water, the ponds, they put their trunk into the pond, but it is too cold and they retract their trunk. They can't drink that water. It's too cold. The flock of geese that usually sit on the water It's too cold for them. So they're sitting on the shore of the river, not in the water, because it's too cold. And the cranes that would stand also are not standing in that cold water. And at that time, Ramachandra enters the water to take a bath. Now, Valmiki Rishi hasn't mentioned it, but the acharyas who are looking at it say, this is what Ramachandra is teaching us. That it is very cold out there, yet he will not refrain from taking a bath to perform his duties. Prabhupada tells us exactly the same thing, that a person will not hesitate to take bath in winter or cook in the middle of summer when it is very hot. And at that time, Lakshmana, to enhance Ramachandra's joy, refers to Bharata. And he says that Bharata, that dear brother of yours, must also be performing all these austerities. He must also be taking this cold bath in the morning thinking about you. This Bharata, who's the son of such a great Dasharatha, how is it possible that Kaikeyi twisted the whole situation? And immediately Ramachandra stops Lakshmana and says, Lakshmana, please don't say anything about Kaikeyi. But as far as Bharata is concerned, please continue talking. It gives me great joy. What is Ramachandra teaching us? That as soon as something enters the ear that is bad about some person, especially where they've done something to us, the natural tendency is to say, yeah, say more. Yeah, I understand how you. He says, no, no, don't speak. Speak about Bharata, about the person that I love. Just a gesture, but so much lesson. For
Very true.
example.
Prabhu, thanks, Prabhu. A lot of details, and I agree with Kritilakshana's, Prabhu. It's a
Every movement of Ramachandra is a lesson of how to conduct one's life.
yeah, it's a journey from selective attention to undivided attention in our normal cognitive psychology language. Thanks a lot, Prabhu. Lot of things to observe and learn. Hare Krishna.
Anything else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Radhaguti here.
Yes.
Can I ask my question from previous two classes?
You speak a little away from the mic because your voice is choppy. But try again.
Oh, okay. May I ask a question from like two classes before?
You have a lot of confidence in me that I'll remember all that, but sure.
I'll try to frame my question, Prabhu. It's still fuzzy in my head. So we were discussing like some classes prior that when Hanumanji is trying to gain Sita Devi's confidence, as he's speaking, he's moving little by little closer. And then that kind of triggers something in Sita Devi's mind that, oh, could it be Rama? And she faints. Immediately, Hanumanji, goes back, retraces his step. And then Sita Devi wakes up from her becomes conscious again. And then she speaks very sweetly to see if this is Ravana, then he won't be able to tell me the glories of Ramachandra. So my question is, and another example was coming to my head when Ravana goes to Maricha the second time and tells about his plan. Maricha just starts shaking out of fear. His lips are dried, mouth is dried, and yet he's able to give Ravana such wisdom, like such intelligence. So my question is that, just like from personal experiences, if my triggers come, my mind, forget about my, even like something else, like, sometimes stops to like my mind stops to work, and so what is it that can I draw from these kind of situations that you can still analyze or like be in some space that you can still at some intelligence can still work rather than just being, I don't know, like what's a good word for it, I don't know. Nothing's coming but like numb, or or just kind of like shocked, surprised, or just your intelligence not working, you're not able to figure out what to say and stuff like that, how to process. Is my question clear, Prabhu?
I think so.
Okay.
Let me respond and you can tell me if I'm anywhere in the neighborhood of the answer. I mean, good comparison. Sita Devi, Mother Sita, and Maricha. The ocean of difference between the two is Sita Devi is in a severe pang of love in separation. Whereas Maricha is in the Bhayanaka Rasa. He's freaked out. Just the name Rama. Even he says Rakaradini Namani. Any word that starts with Ra, I first think of Ramachandra. Even if you're going to say Ratha, I don't hear Ratha. I hear Ra and I think Ramachandra. And he's in complete distress out of that fear. However, Ravana's presence is such that there's no room for love. But in Sita's case, it's completely out of love and anxiety or from separation. But she's been cheated once by a so-called fellow Ravana who dressed himself as a sannyasi, a bhikshuk. And so now, naturally, she distrusts anyone other than Ramachandra and Lakshmana because she's in this situation. And she doesn't want it to get worse. So she faints. She faints because she's afraid of what the situation might be. But the same Sita Devi, who's in this situation, also is extremely intelligent. Coming up soon, I'll give you a sneak preview, is when Hanumanji says, just sit on my back. I will take you back to Ramachandra. That's the easy way out. So she gives an answer on the basis of 3 levels of truth. One, on the basis of practicality. She says, how can I sit on your back? All these Rakshasas will pursue you. And when you are busy fighting with them, I will slip and fall into the ocean. I don't see it's practical. On the basis of dharma, she says, although you're like a son, but you're still another man that I cannot touch. So I will not go. But the third, which is the more important one, she says that the glory of Ramachandra will be when he will come and take me. That's dharma. And then finally, the level of compassion is unspoken, but understood by both, is not just me. All these people, all these women who have been kidnapped by Ravana from all over the universe, they need to be freed also. And not just the ones that have been captured in the past, but anyone in the future. Ravana is unreliable. So I'm not interested in my own salvation. I'm interested in the salvation of others as well. So in the middle of her pangs of anxiety and fainting, she's very clear. She doesn't want to help only herself. But the moment of the situation of love is so intense that she faints. For the other fellow, it's fear. And that fear of Ramachandra is one thing, but he also has fear of Ravana. And so instead of love, his operating principle there is intelligence. So the practical example for all of us is when we are in distress, let's say, not say we, when someone is in distress, each person has the prerogative to think from the means of love or from the viewpoint of love or seva, or from the viewpoint of intelligence or the viewpoint of just mere learning and knowledge, logic. It depends on what's inside, what's the person made out of. And so there's a contrast. I'm so glad you picked Maricha and Sita as examples. He's afraid of dying. So he has to think, how can he survive this and rather die in Ramachandra's hands? Versus Sita Devi, who's only thinking from love, and she's completely surrendered to Ramachandra. She's not making any intellectual, practical, or any other means of getting out of the situation. That is what a Sharanagata means. The two aspects of Sharanagati from the side of the person is akinchinatvam. I have absolutely nothing. No other resources, no other shelter. And uh, ananya gatitvam. I have absolutely no other object of shelter than Sri Ramachandra. Does that help, Radha Aditi?
Yes, Prabhu, I think it does. I'm gonna think more about it, but thank you for making, the contrast become more clear, and to also tell like what's inside is how one will operate at that moment.
Always.
I'll think more about it. Yeah.
Always. It's not what's here. It's always what's here.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
All right. Should we end? Thank you very much for your association. It's been a year of discussing Sundara Kanda with all of you. I don't know about you, but I can say one thing for sure, that I have been immensely benefited in studying it, in being in your association. Each time any one of you asks something or contributes by sharing your own reflections, I feel extremely enriched. It's the highlight of my day for that day to take what you say and share and ask to. It makes it complete for me. And since this is like a big yagya, we are somewhere halfway, we're not done yet. My request is stay along. Hanumanji is yet to do fantastic things and show us what all he's capable of, and enthrall our hearts and minds and every aspect of our bhakti completely by his uh, association with Sita Devi and Sri Ramachandra. And we look forward to another episode of the glory of this conversation between Sri Hanumanji and Sita Devi. Until then, may they bless us, may they protect us, may they guide us, may they instill in our heart a sense of love and affection that we are eagerly looking for. Even if we are not eagerly looking for, they may put that desire that we may desire to eagerly look for, but it is all that we are nothing but eager recipients of their mercy. Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ji ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki